Right, well, I've just got to talk to you about Ireland. I've just got back and it's just been an incredible trip. I fished the World Pairs event, which was held in Northern Ireland and then across into Southern Ireland as well. There were some of the locks in Southern Ireland, such as Garradice and Sker. These are fantastic locks with great fishing, and then they used a couple of bits on the Loch Earn system. Now, I'm pretty new to Ireland, to be fair. I first went to Ireland about 12, 13 years ago now. Fished the King of Clubs, probably, very raw to it. Caught a few fish, to be honest. Certainly the second time I went, really enjoyed it. But at that time, felt it was quite expensive, and I was enjoying going to White Acres, and I like to go and do that sort of thing. So that's what I did, and it was very kind to me. And then I've just sort of changed a little bit in how I want to go fishing, where I'd like to go fishing. And last May I went to Ireland back for the Classic, and I went this May as well. And then the opportunity came up this year to go on the World Pairs. Now, I had a good partner in Rob Wootton. He's a good friend of mine. He just finished winning some small knock-up on the Saturday. I think it was a 24 peg knock-up at Hayfield, which paid a little bit of money. So well done to him on winning that. But he had a big event to concentrate on then, which was the World Pair. So I really looked forward to going there with him and getting into it. He's obviously won the event before with Adam Wakelin. So, you know, they've got good knowledge of the venues in some areas. And because I'd been to Loch Earn a couple of times, I had a bit of knowledge of that area as well. So felt that we could put it all to good use. I set myself a target. If we could have come top 10, I felt that was a fantastic result. Certainly with me not going in September for so long, I was hoping just to try and feel my way in a little bit. But to be honest, it was just like riding a bike. I've been on loads of venues like this, loads of big open waters, and it was great to get into it. Few things I really enjoyed about it, before I talk about the specifics, was first of all, it's wild, it's deep, you get plenty of time, and it's an event. The whole thing's an event. You go Sunday night for the draw, you all draw together. It's in a nice place with some food and what have you. Really good. You get to talk to the anglers. There's been an open match that day. Then you draw a section where you can travel together in your van to each bits, and obviously they're split into sort of an A and B zone on a day. You get loads of time to set up. I love that. The draws at 8. We weren't fishing till 12. Really steady. No, not rushed. Have a little chat amongst your pair. Try and get into it. Try and feel your way into each day. And I just really enjoyed that atmosphere. They're long days, don't get me wrong. You don't finish until, by the time the match finishes at 5, and then you're picked up by your partner. It can be 7 to 8 o'clock by the time you're eating, and then obviously sort of 9, 9:30 before you actually sit down and, I suppose, go out for a Guinness or tie some hooks, depending on who you are. Rob likes to tie hooks, but anyway, I wanted to do. I like that atmosphere. It was good. I really enjoyed it, and I just think that when you're doing a festival, you're there for the duration. You're there for it, aren't you? You're not there to rush home or anything like that. You're there for the week so you can get into it, and that's one thing that I really, really did like. So I must say I did enjoy that. The fishing, well, they tell me it's probably one of the worst sort of festivals for how it's fished for a long time. But when I tell you I've had 2 10 kilos, a 9.5 kilos, and nearly a 9 kilos, just short of 9 kilos on 4 of the days, that's nearly 20 pounds of wild silver-based fish 4 days out of 5. So if that's bad, then I shudder to think what it's like when it's good. I know last year they were catching 30, 40, 50 pound. But it can't always be like that. But when you're catching these lower weights, it actually makes for a really exciting match. Now, I had a couple of interesting days. There's a lot of feeder fishing involved at that time of year, especially on the big locks. You've got to remember, when the wind gets up and it's wild, it can be difficult to hold a pole. And at the moment, there's a lot of decent hybrids. Hybrids basically make up the mainstay of your trip, and they're such an interesting fish. They're aggressive feeders. They really give aggressive bites. There's no doubt in it. When you get a bite, it's off the rest. You're trying to rescue your rod sometimes. That's how aggressive your bites are. fishing with braid, which is something I love. Means it's all about feel. When you're picking up the rod, you can feel the bites, you can feel the fish. You're literally living in the moment, catching the fish, and that's something that you just can't get on a lot of places. And it's something that I really enjoyed while I was there. There was a little bit of pole fishing as well. I know usually, well I say usually, sometimes when it's a bit warmer and maybe there's not as much wind, there can be loads of pole fishing. I heard a couple of years ago there was loads of pole fishing. Doesn't really matter to me. I absolutely love the feeder element of it. Like I said, you really get in the moment, you really do enjoy it. And when those fish you're talking about are like, I don't know, 6 ounce to £3. I mean, I had a hybrid one day, 1 kilo 330. That's nearly £3. That is as a hybrid. That really, they really do pull. You can fish big tackle, you can fish big hooks. So it's a really interesting place. The story of the week was quite interesting. We started off slow. We went to a bit called Horse Island and Enish Favor, which those two sections for me were totally new, never been there before. Big wild locks. Rob had never been there before, and we got it a little bit wrong, to be honest. We caught a few hybrids. Rob had 4 kilos on a very snaggy peg. He was unlucky there. I had 10 kilos, which was made up of only about 18 fish, to be honest. Big fish, couple of bream, but I made some mistakes. Julian Kendrick fished a great match up from me, had 14 kilos. He won our section and I was second to him, so I thought it's okay, but I should have come closer. I made some mistakes there. Rob felt he made a few mistakes as well, which is obviously quite rare for someone like Rob. And when you're making mistakes as a pair, you think, you know, maybe we've dropped a few kilos. When you get back to the results, you realise a lot of people make those similar mistakes, because obviously it's the first day. People, last year, there was 30 kilos caught on the first day. Everybody was expecting it to be better than it was, and it just wasn't. So we had to adapt a little bit, but the key is trying to adapt. And then the next day, we were going to a low weight section, so we didn't rush or anything. I had 9.5 kilos. Again, I made some mistakes. It's 2 days running I made some mistakes. I tried to fish long pole in a very strong wind, failed. I didn't really give the feeder enough time because I was trying to make the long pole work. Actually, after all of that, the fish were at my feet. I should have fished a whip. I tried to fish with a short pole and it just wasn't right. My feed wasn't right. I did figure it out about halfway through. By then it was too late, and I sort of rotated and kept fish coming off those lines and ended up with 9.5 kilo. 11 kilo on my section. Julian Kendrick, double section win in 2 days. He knows it very well, lives in Ireland. Really nice guy, Julian, and he fished 2 good matches those first 2 days, and that's what I felt the potential from our section was. I honestly, the first 2 days, I'm going to say, I could have caught those weights from my pegs, definitely. So felt like I dropped 5 kilos or so in 2 days, which I was really disappointed about, but I'd learned a ton. Then going into the 3rd day, this is where the luck tended to change. Robert had 8 kilos, by the way, 2nd day. He'd done well, I feel, from a bit called Horton Shore. We'd practiced there. He was on the peg from the practice match. Caught roughly the similar weight, 8 kilos. Again, he sort of said maybe he was a kilo or so off the pace. And we just were getting into it. And I really did feel like we were in a good place. We'd understood a lot of what was going on. We'd still done well, don't get me wrong. Our weights were still decent. They weren't miles behind. They were sort of a kilo or so behind here and here. But we felt that we could do a little bit better. Next day I was at Killer D's. Now I drew in a bit that was not very good at all, to be honest. Caught 3.5 kilos, my worst day. I had 14 roach and a hybrid. I was in the worst. It's the worst bit of the match where I was. Peg 13, 12, 13, 14 were absolutely hopeless. Really, really poor pegs. But Rob put in a great performance from Greenish Shore. He had nearly 18 kilos. He absolutely blitzed that bit. That was a day when it all came together for him. He did really, really well. And that's what it was about. It was a team match. My peg the day before had thrown up a kilo, and there'd been hundreds of grams next to it. So I just felt like if I could try and get 2 or 3 kilos, that does help. Obviously, it's going to be tight at the end of the day. Rob made the most of the good bit, and I ticked over in the worst bit. The next day, I drew a really, really snaggy peg. Top Irish angler, Cathal Hughes, had been on it the day before, and he'd really struggled with snags. He'd been really saying to me how bad it was, and then I went and drew it. So I was absolutely gutted, to be honest. I thought, oh no, how am I going to deal with these snags? But I worked a couple of things out, found a clear area, managed to get my rod up quite a bit, and I actually avoided the snags for most of the day. Had a fantastic day's fishing and I had 10.5 kilos, so I was really chuffed with that. That was a day when I certainly, so last couple of days I've been thinking, okay, I've not left anything or much in the peg there. Robert had a good day again. I think he caught near on 15 kilos from a really decent section. So we were looking good. All of a sudden we'd gone from nowhere to 7th overall as a pair. Started to get really exciting. We felt we could possibly finish high up. There was an odd bream peg the next day. Could we draw one of those? The next day, unfortunately, I was in a bit of the section which wasn't the bream bits. I think it had thrown up 6 kilo best all week, so I was a little bit downhearted again. But I knew if I could catch that best weight of 6 kilo, maybe even edge a little bit more, then hopefully Rob would be able to catch some from the other bit, which had been fishing okay, 8, 9s, 10 kilos. So we set ourselves a target for the day. We said, look, if we can catch 17 or 18 kilos, we might sneak in that top 10, we might keep in. I actually had a great match that day, really good. I had 28 hybrids on a feeder. It blew a gale. The waves were smashing over the box. It was brilliant. I just didn't want it to end, to be honest. Just loved being out there, loved being in the weather. It was fantastic. You got your waders on, you got your waterproofs on. What is there to worry about? Everybody actually looked like they were enjoying it. I ended up with 8.5 kilos, which I was absolutely over the moon with. Hayley Whittle won my section off peg 1. He had 13 kilos, but then they sort of had 3s and 4s around where I was, so I was really pleased with that. Rob had done well as well. He'd had 13 kilos, which was a very decent performance there. I think there'd been a 15 or so there, but he'd done really well again. So I was really happy with that. I felt when we got back, we thought, wow, we've caught that 20 kilos that we needed, and ultimately working together as a team to try and get the best result. So that's what the whole week was about, and I really did enjoy it. It meant when we got back, we found out we were 6th overall, which, to be fair, we never had that opportunity at a real big peg during the week. I never felt that we came back thinking, oh, I should have caught 20, 25 kilos, and many of those in the top 10, certainly everybody above us, got that chance to catch a 20 plus kilo weight. So we were pleased. We felt consistency got us that top 6, but it was close. Wow, was it close. 3 kilos off 3rd, which, bearing in mind, I think we won about 500 quid for coming 6th. It was £2,500 for coming 3rd, so 3 kilos. We definitely could have had that. No excuses whatsoever. Few bits and pieces at the start of the week. I know we could have done that. But that was the end result, and it was great. And I've really got to say, it's a great organised event. What they do there, what the guys do, I know it was Kevin Locke's brainchild, but Helen Railsford puts an unbelievable amount of work into it, so she's done fantastic. And it all happens, it all works so smoothly. There's stewards there, they've got people with boats taking you to your peg, people on quad bikes taking you to your peg, people on carts and all sorts taking you to your peg. So you only really have a little way to walk with your gear at any point. Maximum 5 pegs, no real walking, which is fantastic. Everything about it's great. I want to say 2 things before I finish this week's vlog. First of all, a massive well done to Roddy Scott and Michael Buckwalder. These guys are brilliant in Ireland. They're massively dominant everywhere they go. I can't really say enough about them. Michael Buckwalder gave me some great advice a couple of years ago about Ireland, and that really did give me a running start. He didn't need to do that. Shows what a nice guy he is, so I really did appreciate that from him. And Roddy Scott's a really nice guy as well. I could tell it meant the world for him to win. Well done, you guys. Fully deserved. If you have considered going to Ireland, or if you think about going to Ireland, go. You must go. Honestly, it is fantastic. These last 2 years I've enjoyed it in May. That was one of the best festivals I've ever been on in my life, and to tell you that I've been all over and everywhere says something about it, and everybody says it wasn't even good fishing for Ireland this year. And when you bear in mind, like I said, I caught near on £20 every day. What more do you want? Hopefully 30 or 40 next year. I'm going to leave you with that. catch up with the blog after next weekend, because I'm going to be blogging all about the Feeder Masters final. I've just packed all my stuff. That's why this blog was a little bit late. But catch up with that after next week, and I'll catch up with you guys soon.